Sports presents Candlepin Stars and Stripes, featuring the best candlepin bowlers from all over New England. And now in our 15th season, your hosts for Candlepin Stars and Stripes, Dick Lutz and Mike Moore.
Week after week, it remains one of the top-rated programs on WNDS TV, and we welcome you into another edition of Candlepin Stars and Strikes from Leda Lanes in Nashua, New Hampshire. Dick Lutz with Mike Moore, and after 4 weeks of mixed doubles competition, Michael, we're back to our regular ladder series. Over the course of the next 4 weeks, 5 bowlers will vie for a spot in our Tournament of Champions at the end of the year.
I suppose we could refresh everybody's memory as to who the first 3 out of 6 bowlers are. They are Mike Poulin, who was well over 400 a couple of months ago, Joe Tavernese and Scott Creighton. So 3 spots filled, 3 more to go, and we're going to fill spot number 4 in the next couple of weeks.
Let's meet our first bowlers in this next ladder series. First, our number 5 seed. He is from Winthrop, Massachusetts, Joe Stella.
Joe is one of 3 bowlers today from Central Park Lanes in East Boston. 3 of the next 4 weeks, you're going to see somebody from Central Park Lanes, including Joe Stella, 125 average, high single is 196, his high triple 486. Not only bowls but works at Central Park Lanes in East Boston.
Joe bowled a 632 to earn a spot in our TV roll-off, and he'll be taking on our number 4 seed, making his television debut from Hull, Massachusetts, Brian Feist.
At this moment, the butterflies are probably going crazy, but we'll get them going here with some bowling shortly. Brian's from Hull, averages 120, high single 173, 439 is his high triple, and Brian Feist does his bowling at Country Club Lanes in Hingham. And as Dick pointed out, this is his television debut. We wish both bowlers luck.
We begin climbing the ladder this afternoon. Let's get right to it with our first match of the ladder series. We're coming right back to Leda Lanes in Nashua, New Hampshire with Candlepin.
Candlepin Bowling is being brought to you by Rockingham Toyota Dodge Nissan and Rockingham Honda.
We are ready to go with our first match of this new ladder series. As you look at the 5 bowlers who will be competing over the course of the next 4 weeks, Joe Stella and Brian Feist meeting this afternoon with Gary Santora, Kevin Woodside, and Bruno DeFeo waiting in the wings. And Joe Stella will be first to bowl here this afternoon in our opening match of this new ladder series, our 4th ladder series of the season. 6 winners will meet in the Tournament of Champions at the end of the year. Joe Stella starts us off.
2/3 of the spread eagle. 2, 3, 4, and the 6. 3 of our 5 bowlers we've already seen so far this calendar year, this bowling season, I guess I should say. Bruno DeFeo, Gary Santora, and Joe Stella all making return appearances in hopes of grabbing a seed in the Tournament of Champions.
Joe Stella starts off with a 9-box. Joe's 38 years old, from Winthrop, Massachusetts. 3 jobs. We've talked about that before with Joe, raising a couple of kids, 3 kids to be specific. Works at Central Park Lanes, works for UPS, works for East Coast Airport Services, and he and the wife Debbie have children Cheryl, Kara, and Joe, ages 12, 10, and 4. And I get a kick out of the line that he put next to hobbies. One of the questions we always ask our bowlers to talk about themselves and their hobbies. He writes, with 3 kids and 3 jobs, who has time for any hobbies?
Yeah, what's a hobby?
10 box for Joe Stella, 19 through the first 2, and we get our first look at 23-year-old Brian Feist from Hull, Massachusetts, making his television debut on Candlepin Stars and Strikes. Right on the head pin with his first ball, and he has to feel good about that.
A little nervous energy, a little extra body English, leaving a very makeable spare for his very first ever ball thrown on television.
And he picks it up.
Are the butterflies gone yet, Dick?
Hey, this is easy, he's thinking, right?
Why didn't I start doing this sooner?
I know when you get up there for our grudge match, whenever that will be, your first ball will be right down the gutter.
Oh. Is this reverse psychology? Is this to get me charged up?
6 in the spare for Brian Feist. And look at that for 2 marks in a row.
2 marks, and the sparks are flying for Brian Feist of the South Shore of Boston.
Looks like a seasoned veteran as you watch this spare once again. He played it perfectly right to the outside. And he opens up with a pair of spares. Now Joe Stella on lane 34 gets a good break on a not so good first ball and has a makeable spare with some wood that really does not hurt him at all. There's the spare for Joe Stella.
Mentioned that he bowls and works at Central Park Lanes. Back in early December, the owner, Angelo Vizella, passed away, and I think we actually mentioned this on the show a couple of weeks ago. So the bowlers, 3 of the 5 who bowl out of Central Park Lanes, dedicating their efforts over the next couple of weeks to a man they had great affection for, the late Angelo Vizella, of the Vizella family running Central Park Lanes, passing away in early December. Our condolences to his family, friends, and his many loved customers.
And that'll be a 10 box for Joe Stella, 46 through 4. Now Brian Feist is looking for some bonus money. $50 for 3 marks in a row, and the triple strike jackpot is up at over $800 as I recall.
I believe it's
Michael.
900. Let me pull my notes out here.
There's a strike. He's got $50 in the bank. The triple strike is at $900, and you watch the strike right in the 1-3 pocket for Brian Feist. That one's off the head pin, and he leaves himself a tough one here, but he is working on a strike.
Out of the gate like a thoroughbred with reckless abandon.
That time he threw it past the head pin, so the consecutive mark streak will come to an end at 3. And he'll end up with a 7 box. 59 through 4, 13-pin lead early in the match for Brian Feist over Joe Stella, who works on lane 34, right under the Rockingham Toyota Dodge Nissan banner here at Leda Lanes.
Happy to have Emmett Horgan and his fine automobile dealership on board as a sponsor once again with Stars and Strikes.
Joe threw it past the head pin. He will take a 9 box. The number 3 seed waiting in the wings to meet the winner of this match is Gary Santora, a veteran of many appearances on television. A good pocket shot for Joe right there. His second mark, first strike. And both bowlers didn't take a lot of time to warm up here in this first string. Nice strike for Joe Stella. Brian Feist will try to respond now. 2 marks in the first string for Stella, 3 for Brian Feist. Right on the Brooklyn side that time, leaving the 6, the 9, and the 10.
A lot of velocity, a lot of energy in his delivery.
Now the spare, he's got 4 marks in 5 boxes. Brian is a production worker at WearGuard. Told me he's really busy through the holidays. Right in the pocket again. He's also the night manager at Country Club Lanes. Likes to snowboard and throw darts, and he's also an avid golfer, he told me. And he missed the spare.
Well, this being early January, and as we tape on the 11th, there is still no snow on the ground. Of course, by the time you see this on the 30th, we may have some. But snowboarding is not one thing that anybody's doing in the southern part of New Hampshire or northern Mass these days.
86 through 6 for Brian Feist. Joe Stella has 65 plus a couple of balls to fill a strike. Once again, during the course of the match, we'll be reading your cards and letters that we've been receiving. We love to hear from you. We encourage you to write with your thoughts and opinions of what you see and hear on Candlepin Stars and Strikes each week. Here's Joe Stella with a mark inside the strike. He's looking for bonus money. $50 in bonus money for 3 marks in a row. Brian Feist already has collected $50. Now Joe Stella looks for his share. Right in the head pin. No luck at all with a pretty good first ball.
Boy, that was a great ball, but the ball was also fading from the left to the right, and I think once it hit the pocket, the ball just deflected way off to the right and left that mess that you see right there, the 5, 7, 9, 10.
I know you're not going to say it's impossible. because we've heard you say things were impossible before. He almost made it. He played it really well. Played the wood on the left side and almost made an impossible shot. One of the mixed doubles matches, Mike termed a spare leave impossible.
It can't be done.
And it was immediately converted.
I was made to look the fool. Not the first time in my life, by the way.
There's Feist in the pocket again. He shows no signs of being nervous for his first television appearance.
Not at all. These guys did get more nervous when we talked to them at the end of the show than getting up and bowling. Oh, don't put that microphone in my face. Well, pal, we have 6 minutes to fill, so get ready to tell us your life story.
Spare for Brian Feist is his 5th mark of the first string. Again in the pocket, a little bit full. Brian Feist has a high single of 173, a high triple of 439. There's the spare. What a shot by Brian Feist. His 6th mark of the first string. Watch it one more time. Watch the ball hop over the woods, take the pin. And the dead wood sliding over to take the 10 pin. Well done by Brian Feist. Joe Stella tries to answer. He's on the head pin. The 7-pin stands. The wood is in front. Michael, you could make this shot. 6 out of 10 times.
Thanks for that vote of confidence, Coach.
6 out of 10 times you'd make that shot. That's the 4th mark of the first string for Joe Stella. Both bowlers.
Yeah, 10 marks
very well
between them. Bonus money already given away the first string.
Stella a little thin on the Brooklyn side.
It may work to his advantage with the 3-pin sliding over a couple inches to the left, revealing a sleeper in the back, the 9-pin, also the 7-pin over in the left corner. He can sweep them all over for a spare.
Got a shot at it. There it is. He's at 128 plus a ball. And a chance for some bonus money with a strike here. 5 marks in the first string for Joe Stella. On the head pin. It will be a 5-pin fill and a 133 first string for Joe Stella. Now Brian Feist with 2 marks in a row. Already has collected $50 in bonus money. He's looking for more. To the second pocket side, and look at the action.
Well, it got away from him, which I noticed happened to him a few times during practice before we started. He would go left and the ball would get away, but boy, what a nice comeback.
And there's the spare, another $50 for Brian Feist. Nice shot for Brian. Here's the fill shot, looking for more bonus money and looking for a high count. Puts 9 in the spare. He's at 140 already. Another $25 in bonus money. He's at 150 plus a ball.
I have no idea what the record is for highest score for very first time on television, but if he nails a strike here, we're looking at a 160 game for his very first time on television. Brian, how do you top that next game?
Put 7 in there. It's a 157 first string for Brian Feist. What a way to begin your television career on Candlepin Stars and Strikes. A 24-pin lead for Brian Feist over Joe Stella as we head to the second string on Candlepin Stars and Strikes on WNDS TV. We're right back to Lena Lanes after this. All ready to go. It'll be Brian Feist leading us off in the second string after a torrid first string of 157. 133 for Joe Stella. That's not chopped liver either. That's pretty good first string for Joe, and he's 24 pins behind. Brian Feist almost picks up the spare.
Avoiding the letdown is the object of Brian's, I guess, mental approach to this game after a fabulous start.
Starts out with a 10 box. See a gentleman in a striped shirt and a young lady next to him right behind Brian. That is Tiffany, Brian's fiancée. On the head pin, not much to show for it.
She said, "You don't win today, the engagement's off." No, that didn't really happen, folks.
So he'll go open in the first 2 boxes of the second string, after throwing 8 marks in the first string. It'll be a pair of 10s. Good pinning for Brian Feist. Joe Stella now with an opportunity to narrow the gap with a mark or 2 at the beginning of the second string. Stella right on the head pin. They surround the 10 pin in the corner.
Plenty of
3
wood.
pieces of wood dangling around the area. One of them is problematic, the one in the middle in the back.
But I think it may be out of the picture.
And here is Stella picking up the spare. Our WNDS TV 50 crew working Candlepin Stars and Strikes at Leda Lanes. Our director today is Ken Knight. Working audio is Dave Hand. The tape machine is manned by Dave McCarthy. And graphics, computer graphics, Larry Taylor. Video, Paul Hunter. And our cameraman is Jeff. And Bob Dold and Jim McLean. I can't read Jeff's last name. I should have looked at it. Somebody whisper in my ear. Jeff Gary is what it says, I believe. Oh, Jeff Garcia. That's what it is. Whose handwriting is that?
Jeff was with us last go around, doing a fine job. For a man on work release, he really does good work.
What time does he have to be back?
I don't know, but we better hurry. MCI Concord's waiting for him. The old bedpost, the 7 and the 10.
That's 3 open boxes in a row for Brian Feist. Welcome back to the world, Brian.
Yeah, exactly. But still pinning well, and that's going to be very important to him as he goes through some rough stretches like he's going through right now with not real makeable spare leaves. 3, 4, and the 6 right there with no wood. That's strictly a cut shot or a bank shot.
We've talked about it so many times in the past, how a red-hot bowler can all of a sudden go a little bit chilly. And that'll be a 9 box, or will it be a 10 box? It'll be a 9 box as the pin rolls by. And now Joe Stella, who began the string with 2 marks in a row, looks for some bonus money and looks to pull even in the match.
Slowly clawing his way back after a 24 pin deficit after the first string.
Right through the middle, spread eagle -1.
Only the 7 pin missing in the spread eagle this time.
The 7 pin wobbles, but still stands. Still wobbles, too. And that'll be a 10 box.
Well, he's cut the deficit roughly in half in just 3 boxes. So the experienced poise of Joe Stella now is working in his favor.
Now, that time a half Worcester. Just missed the head pin and took 2 pins straight out, the 2 and the 8. And he played it well. An 8 box for Joe Stella. An 11 pin lead in the match for Brian Feist as we go to the break. From Leda Lanes in Nashua, New Hampshire, Candlepin Stars and Strikes continues on WNDS TV. Brian Feist ready to bowl on lane 34 as we come back from the break. Dick Lutz with Mike Morin and our entire WNDS TV 50 crew at Leda Lanes in Nashua, New Hampshire. Happy to have you with us for Candlepin Stars and Strikes. The ratings continue to shine for this program, and we thank you very much. Here's Wyatt. There it goes. You got it. Never give up on that deadwood. It's never dead until it's really dead. Watch it again. It takes a while for that piece of wood to come rolling over and take it out. And now Brian tries to fill the spare. He'll just put 5 in it. Right through the hole.
Tried to fit it. Tried to deflect the 1 over to the 4. Either way, not an easy shot.
Right through the hole. That'll be a 5 box for Brian, and that hurts. As Joe Stella comes to the line, want to tell you about the Kahala Chinese Restaurant and Lounge right next door to Leda Lanes in Nashua, New Hampshire on Amherst Street, 350 Amherst Street. The lunch buffet is just $5.95 Monday through Saturday from 11:45 to 2 p.m. The dinner buffet Thursday from 5 to 8 and Sundays from noon to 8 p.m. just $8.95 all you care to eat. If you're watching the first telecast of this particular match on a Sunday afternoon, why not head out to the Kahala Chinese Restaurant right after the match. You will enjoy the hospitality and the terrific Chinese cuisine that is featured at the Kahala, 350 Amherst Street, Nashua, New Hampshire, right next door to Leda Lanes. If you're coming from the south, exit 7W off the Everett Turnpike, exit 8. If you're coming from the Manchester area, stop by the Kahala Chinese Restaurant and Lounge.
We talk a little bit more about food here, Dick. Oh, we've got everybody else psyched up about a good Chinese meal.
Nice shot for Joe Stella to pick up the mark.
Our winning bowler today takes home a $50 gift certificate to Haverhill Beef Company on Merrimack Street in Haverhill, Massachusetts. Every week giving away a $50 gift certificate. And if you're in the Merrimack Valley area, we hope that you'll come by and visit Haverhill Beef Company for a fine selection of great hand-cut meats, cold-cut trays, whatever you're looking for. They'll take care of it for you. It's Joe Terrazzano at Haverhill Beef Company.
My wife and I stopped in to see Joe Terrazzano
you did?
a couple of weeks ago. It was terrific. What a wonderful store. And Joe was there. We spent a few minutes with him, and we picked up a prime rib that was just outstanding.
Yeah.
And can't wait to get back there again. Nice people, too. So Brian fills the spare with an 8, but has a difficult shot.
But I think the ball could deflect with double wood.
There it goes. Ooh, that piece of wood went flying by the 10-pin. Hit off the side wall and missed it somehow.
Opportunity now for Joe Stella to pull even and even go ahead as he's working on a mark up against a 5 box. Oh,
look at that.
Scratch those comments.
What a way to fill a spare with a singleton. And look at the action he gets on the second ball. And a 9 box. Shows a nice smooth delivery. Tough shot here. The 4 and 7 on the left, the 6 and 10 on the right. The wood in the middle. The wood on the right is the way to go. There he goes. Not enough of that piece of wood.
Joe Stella, a little bit more cerebral style than Brian Feist, was the WCBC Rookie Candlepin Bowler of the Year back in 1988, 1989.
A 20-pin lead for Brian Feist with 2 boxes to go in the second string of our 3-string match. Brian right on the head pin. Will it go? It danced. It tilted a little bit. It teased us, but it stayed up. A spare for Brian Feist in the 9th box. His 3rd mark of the second string. So after a slow start, he has warmed up in the second half of the string.
But only about half the number of marks that both bowlers had last string. And again, a tough fill. Second 5 fill on a spare for him this game.
On the head pin, just a little too thin. Just missed that shot. A 6 box to close out with a 107 second string. string that contained a 5-box and a 6-box, 2 spares that were filled with 5s, a 107, which follows up his 157 in the first string. Now Joe Stella tries to get back in the match. Needs a mark in one of these last 2 boxes to narrow the gap. Won't get it here. A 196 high for Joe Stella. As you see, in 9 box, he has 99. Right in the pocket, but not a lot to show for it. The 2 and the 10 still stand. Kicked it off the wall, but wouldn't convert the spare. A 109 second string for Joe Stella. He picks up 2 pins. A 22-pin lead for Brian Feist as we head to the 3rd and final string of our first match of the 4th ladder series on Candlepin Stars and Strikes from WNDS TV in Lido Lanes in Nashua. We're coming back right after this. Joe Stella will be first to bowl in our 3rd string. After every match on Candlepin Stars and Strikes, we have our bonus ball contest. And your chance to send in a postcard and be a participant in the bonus ball contest. You can send your postcards right here to Lido Lanes in Nashua, New Hampshire, 340 Amherst Street. The zip is 03063 as Joe Stella just misses the spare. I don't know how he missed it, but he missed it. 03063 is the zip. Put your name and address with a number 0 through 10. And after every match, our winning bowler will roll a ball and we'll match him up with a contestant from home. And if your number matches the number of pins knocked down, you'll win the bonus ball contest, which this week has how much cash in it?
$20.
$20 as we begin. We had a winner a couple of weeks ago.
Yep. I don't think anybody's ever thrown a gutter ball, have they? On the 0 to 10 guess?
No, but you would if you had the opportunity. But you would never have that opportunity because you have to win a match to throw the bonus ball.
Oh, I see. Nobody ever explained it to me that way before. A couple of 10s for Joe Stella. Brian Feist hopes to reverse the declining fortunes of his second game compared to his first game. He can put something roughly in between his 107 and his 157. He'll be doing okay. Get out of here with pretty close to a 400 triple. Not bad for a debut.
The 10 pin still stands after a solid shot by Brian. And a spare to start out. Brian has already collected $125 in bonus money. Joe Stella has not collected bonus money yet in the match. Brian, look at that 8-pin still there.
Much better fill than what he was doing last string when he had 2 5-pin fills on a couple of spares. Runner-up today gets $100, and the winner goes on to face Gary Santora next week.
2 marks in a row for Brian Feist starting out in the 3rd string. Now Joe Stella needs to respond. Got a note from Betty Dion of Pepperell, Massachusetts, who writes how much she enjoys the show. She's been watching Candlepin's bowling since in the 60s. Don Gillis and Jim Britton. Look at Joe Stella convert a very difficult spare. Watch it one more time. That's a tough shot.
2 sets of double wood in there.
And Joe needed a spare right there. Very important spare for Joe Stella. And he will put 6 in it and leave the 4 horsemen on the left side.
So what's Betty got to say?
Betty wants to know if we ever heard of Frank Malicki, I believe. It's either Malski or Malicki. And Frank was her mailman. And it was at the same time that Stacia Zernicke was on television. And Frank was a terrific bowler. The name is not familiar to me, Betty. We'll ask around. As a matter of fact, Tony Zernicke is here today. We'll ask him between tapings.
Tony knows everything about the history of this game.
Told us he brought us something today.
I know what it is, too. Do you know much about Polish food?
I do. He was making galumkis last time, wasn't he?
Yeah, pierogies.
Oh, pierogies.
There might have been galumkis in there, too, and maybe some punchkis.
8 in the spare for Brian. This is a $50 shot for Brian Feist. Bring it up.
Single-handedly breaking the bonus money bank today. Well, how much is that? About $1.75?
That is
so far?
$175.
Nicely done for Brian Feist.
And a chance for more. Look at that 7-pin still stand.
It's a shame we're going to have to sit him down here for a quick commercial break after 4 frames.
4 marks in a row to start out the 3rd string for Brian Feist. Don't touch him. He's red hot. We're going to the break with Feist in control on Candlepin Stars and Strikes on WNDS TV. Joe Stella ready to go on lane 34 at Leda Lanes in Nashua, New Hampshire. Ray Simino, Sean Howard, the staff here at Leda Lanes. Our official scorer, Chris Bobert, who is also on the staff here at Leda Lanes. They do a great job. We've told you about it so many times each and every week. There you get a look at the crowd that's here. Another terrific crowd on hand. They get here early. They serve coffee and donuts. They have a wonderful time. The camaraderie is just unmatched. And the hospitality that is displayed here by the staff at Leda Lanes is certainly appreciated by all.
You mentioned Stacia Zernike a couple of moments ago, and Tony Zernike. It was the Stacia Zernike Memorial Invitational on the WCBC Tour just a couple of weeks ago. And,
look at that spare for Joe Stella. Excuse me, Michael, but that was a great shot.
That was beautiful, and he needs as many spares as he can now because Brian Feist has reeled off 4 in a row to start this string.
And he follows with a 9 drop.
An impressive debut performance for Hull, Massachusetts native Brian Feist.
Won't take the spare. We'll have to settle for a 9 bucks.
Just want to mention the winners in the Stacia Zernike Memorial a couple of weeks ago. Donna Banzi for the women, winning her 4th WCBC title. Karen McCormick 2nd, Janet Pock 3rd, Debbie Regan, who you saw a couple of weeks ago on the doubles match. As we ring up a strike for Brian Feist.
That miss was very costly for Brian. That miss of the single pin, the ball that went into the gutter and kicked out the pin. Cost him a few bucks. And now here's Joe. Go ahead, continue, Mike.
Been tough to get this in here with all the excitement we've been having here the last couple of frames. Jillian Anderson, number 5 for the ladies, and for the men, Mark Gregory picks up his 4th tour title. Congratulations to Mark. As Joe misses the spare. Sean Baker, number 2, Steve Vadney, 3rd, John Winchell, 4th, and Bob Whitcomb, number 5. So we've seen 4 of these 5 bowlers on Candlepin Stars and Strikes the last couple of years.
Joe Stella is going to have a pretty fair string and a pretty fair triple, and he's going to lose to Brian Feist here this afternoon. But Feist has just been red hot.
Well, he's not hanging up though. He's hanging in there.
Nice spare for Joe. That's his 4th mark of the string. He continues to throw well. Brian Feist already has 5 marks in the string, should have 6. Working on a strike. The 7 and the 10 still stand with some wood on the deck, some interesting wood. You play the wood on the right, hope the ball hits the wood on the left and careens into the 7-pin. Nope, didn't do it.
Looked like he was trying to split them. Didn't get a piece of the wood on the left, leaving the 7-0 by itself.
That'll be a 10 box. He's at 113.
And looks like a 400 triple is a sure thing for him, needing only 23 pins in the next 3 frames.
Just missed the pocket, and look at what he has. 4 horsemen on the left, the 6 and the 9 and the 10 on the right. Oh, he almost made it.
Crowd is enjoying his debut performance today. A lot of energy, a nice young man, and he's bowling great.
10 box for Brian Feist. He's at 123. Gary Santoro waiting in the wings to take on this week's winner in our next match next week. Joe Stella working on a spare, puts 6 in it and leaves himself a tough one. 8 box for Joe. He's at 114. 356 is the triple thus far with a box to go for Joe Stella. So he'll be over 360.
He's mathematically out of it right now by a pin. He could strike out and lose by 1 pin if Brian Feist threw 6 gutter balls. How's that for a scenario?
Good strong finish for Joe. He has a spare. He is at 366 plus a ball, so he'll be over 370 and
won't even come close
to lose significantly. Six in the spare and a 130 third string for Joe Stella. Now we'll watch Brian Feist and see if Brian can win any more bonus money as he rides out the end of this third string. Brian looking for a strike. Will they go? There they go.
Look at the smile on his face. A happy man.
Watch it one more time. Remember, $900 in the triple strike jackpot. And Brian's going to be over 400. Now he's shooting for placement. Almost picked up the spare. It puts 9 in the strike. He's at 151. That's what it is, a 151 third string and a 415 triple for Brian Feist. What a debut for the 23-year-old winner from Hull, Massachusetts. We'll come back to meet our bowlers right after this. We continue with Candlepin Stars and Strikes from Leda Lanes in Nashua, New Hampshire on WNDS TV. A very impressive performance, first time on television for Brian Feist as he beats Joe Stella by a score of 415 to 372. No butterflies for Brian Feist.
No, and it's funny, the bowlers seem to mirror each other. Both had a big, strong opening, then both fell into the games, barely over 100 for the second game, and then both came back with a big flourish and a big finish, but Brian Feist had that much of a lead to continue and finally prevail with better than a 400 triple for his first time on TV.
Let's meet our bowlers first. Our runner-up here this afternoon, Joe Stella. Joe, come on in. Congratulations to you. Here's, first of all, a check for $100. Unfortunately, we don't have any bonus money for you. Step in a little closer. You remember your first time on television. You've been on TV a few times now, and here you come and you're facing a guy who's on TV for the first time, and he throws a 157 at you the first string and sets you a little bit back on the heels. That's quite a start for a first-time performance for Brian Feist.
Oh, sure, for sure. It was tough to come back from that. I was trying to. When it looked like I was making a move on the second string, then I punched out one on it on the spare there, and that went downhill from there.
Do you remember your first time on TV? Do you remember the nervousness that you felt, the butterflies,
yeah.
How long it took to get settled in?
Oh, yeah, I felt the nervousness the first time on TV.
What settled you down? Do you remember what it took to settle you down? Your first mark or the first string, or what was the point that you felt like you belonged and didn't feel nervous anymore?
I don't know. This was a long time ago. I can't remember that far back.
Do you still get nervous when you come on TV the first time you get up there?
Sometimes, and then you find a spot and you just relax. Today I was very relaxed today, very relaxed.
I know that a couple of months ago, Angelo Vizella passed away, who was the owner of Central Park Lanes. Over the next couple of weeks, oddly enough, we have 3 bowlers who represent Central Park Lanes. Maybe you have a few memories. I know you used to work for Mr. Vizella. What he was like to work for, some reflections on his life, perhaps?
Yeah, Angelo was very nice. He took care of us very good, the bowlers. He was a big sponsor of us, but we won a traveling league on Friday nights, and anything we needed, he got for us all the time, and that was a sad day.
What's the key to the success for the bowlers from that house with so many making it on TV? Is it a very competitive place to bowl?
Yeah, it's very competitive, and it's considered a tough house, too. So once you leave there, a lot of the other houses are kind of, the pins fall a little bit quicker.
How's this house? Is this a tough house?
Not really. I don't think it is. I think they fall pretty good here.
Joe, thanks very much. Congratulations to you. We'll look forward to seeing you again. Joe Stella, ladies and gentlemen, our runner-up here this afternoon, losing to Brian Feist. We'll meet Brian. We'll have our bonus ball contest and tell you about next week's match when we come back to Leda Lanes in Nashua, New Hampshire for Candlepin Stars and Strikes. We'll be right back.